Kelsey Plum, a fiery competitor and a VP of the Players Union, took a shot at the new face of the WNBA. She probably thought it was a lighthearted jab, a little rookie hazing on a national stage. She was wrong. In the chess match of public perception, the veteran guard made a critical error during the 2024 All-Star Weekend. It was a comment that was supposed to draw a line in the sand.
0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Could not help but to drag Caitlin Clark through the glass.
Caitlin Clark got a little get back at Kelsey Plum.
But it opened the door for Caitlin Clark to deliver a lesson in modern power dynamics. This wasn't a battle won with a crossover or a three-pointer. It was won with strategic silence. Before we break down exactly how Clark sidestepped a veteran's test and let the narrative crumble on its own, do me a favor and hit that like button. Because once you understand what truly happened, you'll see this wasn't a fight, it was a public miscalculation. To get what happened, you have to understand the vibe at the 2024 WNBA All-Star Game in Phoenix.
We want to blow them out. We're a lot better than them.
You have sore losers and you have sore winners, and Kelsey Plum is both.
The league was buzzing, and most of that buzz was because of one person, Caitlin Clark. But underneath the celebration, there was tension. The Players Union and the league were in the thick of negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, or CBA, with the current one set to be opted out of. To show a united front, players on both All-Star teams decided to wear black t-shirts during warm-ups with a clear message, "Pay us what you owe us." It was meant to be a powerful moment of solidarity, but then came the post-game press conference. Kelsey Plum, sitting at the podium, was asked about the shirts. She explained the decision was made in a players' meeting that morning, and then she dropped the line that lit a fuse. With a grin next to a visibly uncomfortable Sabrina Ionescu, Plum said, "Not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that." Ionescu, who was on Team Clark, sarcastically muttered, "That really needed to be mentioned." The damage was done. Plum, whether she meant it as a joke or not, had publicly questioned the league's biggest star's commitment to the players' fight. The internet exploded. Plum had created a narrative. While the vets were in the trenches fighting for the league's future, where was the new golden goose, Caitlin Clark? For a moment, it looked like Plum had landed a real blow. With the sports world watching, everyone waited for Caitlin Clark's response. A fiery tweet? A defensive interview? The playbook for modern athlete drama called for an immediate clapback. But Clark did something far more powerful: nothing at all. There were no defensive posts, no leaked stories, no public statements. Clark stayed completely quiet. This was a masterclass in letting a story die by denying it oxygen. A war of words needs 2 people, and Clark simply refused to step onto the battlefield. Her silence did a few things. First, it made Plum's comment look petty. Without a back and forth, Plum's tattletale moment was left hanging, making her look like she was picking a fight by herself. Second, it allowed the facts to speak for themselves. Despite Plum's jab, every player, including those on Team Clark, did wear the shirt, presenting the unified front that was intended. Most importantly, Clark's silence let the narrative fizzle out. As days and weeks passed without any fuel from Clark, the debate cooled. Clark was waiting, letting her opponent's words echo in an empty room until they just faded away. While Clark was quiet, the backlash against Plum was not. Fans online called the comment unnecessary and accused her of trying to create division during a moment that was supposed to be about unity. The pressure mounted, and the narrative had completely shifted away from Clark's commitment to Plum's judgment. Weeks later, the final chapter of this saga played out. Feeling the heat, Kelsey Plum went on a podcast with WNBA legend Sue Bird. In that interview, she was forced to address the comment that had backfired so spectacularly. Her explanation: "I made a really bad joke." Plum admitted she misread how serious the moment was and that her attempt at humor completely missed the mark, taking attention away from the player's message. She even explained she was trying to joke that Team Clark was hungover, even though her own team's nickname was also hungover. This was the white flag of surrender. Caitlin Clark, without ever having to publicly defend herself, had let the situation resolve itself, forcing her challenger to retreat and publicly clarify her own words. She won the battle without ever admitting she was in one. That is the definition of power. This whole incident wasn't just some fleeting social media drama. It was a lesson in modern power dynamics. Kelsey Plum tried to test the rookie in the court of public opinion, but she miscalculated the board. She was playing checkers, looking for a quick reaction. Clark was playing chess. Clark's power isn't just in her record-breaking game, it's in her massive economic influence. She has a reported $28 million deal with Nike, a contract that dwarfs the earnings of many league veterans and signals a massive shift in who holds the leverage. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was the confidence of someone who knows her value is measured in skyrocketing viewership, sold-out arenas, and multi-million-dollar endorsement deals. The message to the rest of the league became crystal clear. If you take a shot at the new face of the WNBA, you're not just coming for a player, you're coming for a brand, an economic engine that the league itself is relying on. By forcing Plum to walk back her comments, Clark established a new set of rules. She proved she can dismantle a narrative not with a loud, drawn-out fight, but with the most calculated weapon of all, strategic silence. This shift in the landscape is what seasoned veterans like Plum are still grappling with. For decades, the WNBA was a tight-knit sisterhood where survival depended on internal solidarity and a shared, often private struggle for visibility. In that old world order, a veteran calling out a rookie was a rite of passage, a way to ensure the newcomer understood the hierarchy and the labor required to keep the league afloat. But Clark represents a paradigm shift where the labor isn't just what happens in union meetings, it's the unprecedented gravity she exerts on the global sports market. When Plum made that comment, she was using an old-school tactic of social accountability. She was trying to remind Clark that despite the private jets and the Gatorade commercials, she is still just one of 144 players who need a better CBA. But the irony is that Clark's mere presence has done more for the union's leverage than 1,000 t-shirts ever could. The pay us message carries weight now because for the first time, the league has the revenue potential to actually fulfill that demand. By trying to alienate Clark from the cause, Plum inadvertently risked damaging the very person who is providing the union with its strongest bargaining chip, growth. The psychological toll of this transition on the WNBA's old guard cannot be overstated. Players like Plum, Aja Wilson, and Breanna Stewart spent years building the foundation of this league in relative obscurity compared to their NBA counterparts. They played in half-empty arenas and spent their off-seasons in Russia or Turkey just to make ends meet. Then comes a 22-year-old from Iowa who commands a spotlight they had to bleed for. It's natural for there to be a sense of protective gatekeeping. Plum's joke wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a symptom of a league undergoing growing pains, as it transforms from a niche sporting community into a mainstream entertainment juggernaut. However, the way the public rallied behind Clark revealed a massive gap between the locker room culture and the fan base. To the fans, Plum's comment felt like mean girl energy directed at a woman who has done nothing but play hard and keep her head down. The optics were disastrous, a veteran vice president of the union appearing to bully a rookie on a platform meant to celebrate the league's success. It highlighted a disconnect where the veterans see themselves as mentors and enforcers of culture, while the new audience sees them as obstacles to the ascent of their favorite star. Clark's decision to stay silent also protected her teammates on Team WNBA. Had she responded, the locker room would have been forced to take sides. Media scrums would have been dominated by questions about the rift rather than the historic All-Star Game performance or the record-breaking television ratings. By refusing to engage, Clark effectively shielded the league from a civil war during its most important weekend. She understood that her voice is a high-caliber weapon, and she chose not to fire it. This level of maturity is rare for any athlete, let alone one facing the level of scrutiny that Clark deals with daily. We also have to look at the broader implications for the CBA negotiations. The pay us what you owe us movement is about more than just salaries. It's about travel conditions, marketing rights, and retirement benefits. When the players eventually opt out of the current deal, they will be negotiating from a position of unprecedented strength because of the Clark effect. If Plum had succeeded in making Clark look like an outsider to the union's efforts, she would have undermined the very unity the t-shirts were meant to symbolize. Instead, Clark's silent participation, wearing the shirt without needing the credit, showed a different kind of solidarity. It was the solidarity of someone who knows she is the engine of the ship and doesn't need to shout to be heard. The fallout from this moment also serves as a warning for the league's marketing departments and the media. For a long time, the WNBA narrative was built on the grind and the struggle for respect. But the new narrative is built on excellence and competition. Fans don't want to see the veterans checking the rookies, they want to see the veterans playing the rookies. They want rivalries built on the court, not snide remarks at a press conference. Plum's eventual apology on Sue Bird's podcast was an admission that the old ways of public hazing don't work when the rookie in question brings 10 million new eyes to the screen. Looking forward, this incident has likely changed how veterans interact with the new generation of stars. There is a realization that the traditional hierarchy is being disrupted by digital age fame. In the past, you earned your seat at the table through years of service. Now, you can bring the entire table with you on day one. Clark didn't just bring her shooting range to the WNBA. She brought a massive, loyal, and highly protective fan base that acts as a digital Praetorian guard. Any veteran who takes a swipe at her now knows they aren't just facing a rookie, they are facing a global community. Ultimately, Kelsey Plum's bad joke served as the ultimate stress test for Caitlin Clark's brand. It proved that Clark is unshakable. It proved that she is savvy enough to avoid the traps set by those who might be threatened by her rise. And it proved that in the modern era, you don't need to win an argument to win the battle. You just need to be the one who stays focused on the game while everyone else is distracted by the noise. The WNBA is currently in its golden era, a time of rapid expansion and cultural relevance. But with that growth comes the necessity for a new kind of leadership. The league needs its veterans to bridge the gap, not widen it. Plum's misstep was a lesson for every player in the league. The spotlight is brighter than it has ever been, and every word is magnified. In this new world, the rookies are coming in with more than just talent. They're coming in with leverage. And as Caitlin Clark showed the world, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. She let the scoreboard, both on the court and in the court of public opinion, do the talking for her. What do you think? Was Clark's silence a brilliant power move, or did Plum just make an unforced error? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more breakdowns of the power plays happening in the world of sports, make sure to subscribe.